Okay, we're continuing with Holy Grail of Wisdom Quotes by me, Pete Rogers, alphabetical order. This is part 2 on George Orwell. So this next quote's a very important one. He says, "I thought of a rather cruel trick I once played on a wasp. He was sucking jam on my plate and I cut him in half. He paid no attention. He merely went on with his meal, while a tiny stream of jam-like substance trickled out of his lower severed esophagus. It was only when he tried to fly away did he grasp the dreadful thing that had happened to him. It is the same with modern man. The thing that has been cut away is his soul." And this is what I'm saying is people look at me like, they don't understand when I say religion is the most important thing in society. If you accept the Bible-based worldview, Genesis 1:27, man is created in the image of God, you are saying that he is important, he is part divine, we must respect him, we must give him his individual rights, his natural rights, free speech, privacy, the right to own property. Like Jesus Christus said, that which you do to the least of my brethren, you do unto me. So we should not abuse him. All right, that's very important. If you accept atheistic Darwinism, which is the current worldview that has now been accepted in the American school system, grade school, junior high, college, grad school, scientific community, is atheistic Darwinism, which says that man is just a monkey that talks, a talking primate. You don't understand the significance of that view. That is essentially equivalent to the rule in like the Roman Empire. It's actually worse than paganism, because what it means is that you are just a monkey that talks. You have no rights. The ruler owns you like a monkey, like a slave. If they want to have sex with your daughter, you must give her to them, or they have the right to bump you off. You have zero rights. You have rights to nothing. You have no right to property, no right to free speech, to nothing. Life has no meaning. All that matters is somebody is above you as a ruler, and they own you. And if you don't understand that, I'm sorry, then you're stupid, okay? That's why this is such a big deal. The Roman emperors, if they wanted a woman, they would say, give her to me, and if the person didn't immediately give her, they just do a pearl hunt. They would send the soldiers out, bump off the family, take her, make her into a sex slave, okay? That sort of thing is what's coming if we continue to accept atheistic Darwinism. This is rather obvious. This is like 2 + 2 = 4. Why should anybody respect you or be nice to you if they don't have to? If they own you, you're their slave. They can do whatever they want to you. Okay, the next quote by Orwell. "The most effective way to destroy a people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their own history." And that's what's happening. The public schools use these fake textbooks that rewrite history, try to say that America was not founded as a Christian nation. It was obviously founded as a Christian nation. They prayed in the same rooms they legislated. They all went to mass together. If you want to see a historian, look up David Barton. He's a good place to start. You'll learn about the Christian history of the United States, for example. Okay, next thing. And they also try to say, oh, America's racist. Oh, BS. Why does everybody want to come here, okay? Oh, well, all the minorities want to come here. If it was so racist, why do they want to come here? My mother's Puerto Rican. Why did she want to come here? Because it was the best place in the world, and everybody knows that. That was obvious, okay? Okay, a little bit more from Orwell here. "A genuinely unfashionable opinion is almost never given a fair hearing, either in the popular press or in the highbrow periodicals." Yeah, basically they want to shape what information is shown to the public to keep the public confused. Notice how almost everything I do is shadow banned or censored or blocked. I'll give the greatest lecture in the world on a topic. It'll get, 50 views or something, 100 views, versus all the high-fat phonies, the Mediterranean diet nonsense, the paleo keto carnivores, or other people, lefty pinko commie scumbags. They're going to have hundreds of thousands and millions of views because that's the viewpoint they want given to the public. They like, somebody like me around to know what an old time, Christian thinks, okay? Just to keep track of us, but you don't want my opinion getting known to the widespread masses. But anyways, for those of you that listen, hopefully you learned something. Okay, the next thing is the scene of the book, he's talking about 1984, was laid in Britain in order to emphasize that the English-speaking races, which are innately better than anyone else, and that totalitarianism, if not fought against, could triumph anywhere. So yeah, the attitude of the English was that they are superior to everybody on the planet, and what Orwell was saying is, look, if even England, the place that had the Magna Carta and all this other stuff, and was the site of the industrial, takeoff in around late 1700s. He says, if this could happen even in England, that means it could happen anywhere. And he's right. But notice that the English are real stuck up. You know, my father's from Ireland, so I always like English people stuck up. And I'm like, you can kiss my ass, pal. England was messed up socialist country back in the 1980s. I went there in the 1980s and I couldn't believe how weak they were, how sick looking they were, how poor they were. I stayed in the Buswell Hotel across the street from Hyde Park, and it was broke ass poor. Okay, we didn't even have a bathroom in our room. We had to go to the end of the hallway to use a bathroom. In the United States, even back in the 1980s, that'd be the equivalent of a lousy Motel 6. That's how poor England was. The previous, masters of the universe, okay, in the 1700s, 1800s. All right, so the moral of this story, 1984, the book by Orwell, was this dangerous nightmare could happen to you, to your country. And he's saying, don't let it happen. It depends on you, the people. He says the telescreen received and transmitted simultaneously. There was, of course, no way of knowing whether you were being watched at any given moment. It was conceivable that they watched everybody all the time. But at any rate, they could plug into your wire whenever they wanted to. You had to live, and did live, from habit that became instinct, with the assumption that every sound you made was overheard, and except in darkness, every movement scrutinized, within 20 years at the most. Okay, one last quote here. Every record had been destroyed or falsified. I know we've read part of this before, but there's some new information I'm adding on to it. Every book had been rewritten. Every picture had been repainted. Every statue and street had building had been renamed. Notice how they're renaming stuff and tearing down statues in the USA? Every date altered, and the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. And then here's the next question. The huge and simple question, was life better before the revolution than it is now? Would have ceased once and for all to be answerable. Once they've rewritten all the history and everything's hidden and destroyed, they delete everything from the internet they don't want, who can know the truth about anything? That's why people should be keeping books. People should have big libraries of hard copy books. Be like the Irish monks, save civilization again. I think that's what it's going to take. So anyways, I hope you found it helpful. That's the end of part 2. We'll be doing a part 3 real soon.